Love in the midst of the promise. Episode 1, The Weight of a Yes. The night after Naomi told Michael her quiet but undeniable yes, she sat at her bedroom window, watching the streetlights reflect off the familiar sidewalks of their neighborhood. It was a yes to the future, a yes to God's leading, a yes to something sacred. But with that yes came a holy weight. Naomi opened her Bible to Psalm 37 verse 5, "Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him and he shall bring it to pass." She prayed that her heart would stay anchored, not in emotion alone, but in obedience. Meanwhile, Michael walked home with a heart full of purpose, yet humbled by the responsibility that came with love. He rehearsed the words of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 26, understanding more deeply what it meant to love with a cleansing, patient, Christ-like devotion. Both fell asleep that night with the same prayer: "Lord, prepare us for the promise you are shaping." Episode 2, Conversations of the Future. A week later, Naomi and Michael sat together at Columbus Park, watching children play near the fieldhouse. The wind carried the scent of early spring, mixing with laughter and the hum of passing traffic. Michael took her hand gently. "Naomi, I know we said yes to walking forward, but I think we should talk about what forward really means." She nodded, ready for the seriousness in his tone. They discussed finances, ministry goals, family expectations, and the importance of staying pure and honorable until the covenant of marriage. Naomi shared fears she had never spoken aloud. Michael listened with patience. Michael shared concerns he had kept buried for years. Naomi responded with grace. They both returned repeatedly to Proverbs chapter 15 verse 22, "Without counsel purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors they are established." By the time they rose from the bench, their hearts were even more aligned. Not rushed. Not pressured. Just guided by the slow, steady hand of God. Episode 3, When the Past Knocks Loudly. The enemy often tries to shake a future by pulling on the past. One afternoon, Naomi saw someone she once knew from years before she committed her life to Christ. The unexpected encounter stirred up old memories she would rather forget. Words from long ago resurfaced, echoing insecurities she had thought were buried. Naomi stepped aside inside the community center, trembling. Michael found her minutes later, noticing the distress in her eyes. She didn't hide it. She told him everything. Michael did not judge her. He did not question her worth. Instead, he quoted 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17, "If any man be in Christ, he is a new creature, old things are passed away, behold all things are become new." Naomi inhaled deeply, the truth settling her soul. Michael stood as a shield beside her, not in anger, but in prayer. It became one of the moments that strengthened their trust more than any romantic gesture ever could. Episode 4, The Preparation Season. Pastor Lewis began walking closely with them, offering counsel, scriptural guidance, and prayer. These were not sessions to push marriage too quickly, but to prepare their hearts for whatever God planned. They studied unity. They studied humility. They studied covenant. They studied endurance. Naomi felt God softening parts of her heart that had resisted vulnerability. Michael felt God chiseling away pride and impatience. They volunteered more together. They prayed more together. They waited more intentionally than ever before. One evening after a long ministry meeting, Michael walked Naomi home beneath a pastel sunset glowing over the west side skyline. He said quietly, "This preparation is teaching me more about love than anything else in my life." Naomi smiled. "Me too." They did not need promises in the moment. Their growth was the promise. Episode 5, The First Spark of Covenant. It was a calm evening at the outreach event when Michael saw something that made his heart tremble. He watched Naomi kneel to pray with a young girl who had come in crying. The tenderness in Naomi's voice, the compassion in her touch, the grace in her words, he knew this was the woman who prayed with him, battled with him, and walked faithfully beside him. He felt God whisper to his spirit, not in an audible voice but in a holy certainty, "Prepare yourself." After the event, Michal asked Naomi if they could take a walk. They strolled slowly down a quiet street where the overhead lamp cast a warm glow upon the sidewalk. "Naomi," he said softly, "when I look at what God is shaping in us, I feel Him telling me to keep preparing. Because the day is coming when I will ask you something that will change the rest of our lives." Naomi felt her breath catch, but she stayed calm, remembering Psalm 127 verse 1, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it." She took his hand and replied, "Michal, whenever that day comes, let it be God who leads it. No proposal yet. No rushing God. Just the first spark of covenant glowing quietly in the night." This episode ends with anticipation, alignment, and the unmistakable movement of God drawing them toward the next chapter of His plan.